It was an extraordinary moment at the White House today. The president made his first public comments about Trayvon Martin, the unarmed Florida teenager who was shot to death by a neighborhood watch volunteer. President Obama spoke not only as the president, but as an African-American parent. He said, "When I think about this boy, I think about my own kids."
I think all of us have to do some soul searching to figure out how does something like this happen. And that means that we examine the laws and the context for what happened, as well as the specifics of the incident. But my main message is to the parents of Trayvon Martin. If I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon.
It was a Sunday night a month ago in Sanford, Florida. Trayvon Martin, a high school student, never in trouble with the law, was on an errand when he caught the eye of neighborhood watch captain George Zimmerman. Zimmerman, carrying a legal handgun, confronted Martin. Zimmerman says the shooting that resulted was self-defense. Today, Mark Strassmann talked to the parents who the president mentioned and to a man who knows Zimmerman well.
12,000 teenagers walked out of Miami schools today. It was a show of solidarity for TM, Trayvon Martin, and for his parents, Tracy Martin and Sabrina Fulton.
They're like our crutches. We're able to lean on the supporters, and they're standing with us, and they're going to stand with us to the end.
What has to happen next to get you to where you want to end up?
Arrest, trial, conviction, sentence for the murder of Trayvon Benjamin Martin.
George Zimmerman, who says he shot Martin in self-defense, remains free. Florida has appointed a new special prosecutor for the case. She and federal investigators were both in Sanford today.
Does that give you more confidence?
It lets us know that there will be a thorough investigation and that we have somebody that's impartial and that's going to do a good job.
But federal investigators have yet to interview Zimmerman. Frank Taffy is his neighbor. Over the last year, they both guarded their subdivision as Crime Watch volunteers.
I more or less patrolled this sector right here, whereas George took care of the entire complex. I would see him in the evening doing his patrol, and we would wave, and he would walk his Rottweiler through the complex.
Both looking for the same thing, you and he?
Yes, and George went above and beyond the call of duty. He was diligent. He had a real passion and a concern for the safety of all the residents here in Twin Lakes.
You said he went above and beyond, but did he go too far?
No.
Was George Zimmerman racist?
George Zimmerman was not a racist.
Did he ever use the N-word, racial slurs?
Never. Never in my presence.
Zimmerman was studying criminal justice. His college has now expelled him. But Taffy believes Zimmerman's story.
Does George Zimmerman belong in jail?
No.
Do you think he did the right thing by confronting Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I would do the same thing.
Like Zimmerman, Taffy owns a 9mm weapon, but when he goes on patrol, he says he leaves it at home because he believes that outside the home, using lethal force has no place. That said, Scott, remember that Zimmerman had a concealed weapons permit, whereas Taffy does not.
Mark, I wonder, what did Trayvon's parents say when they heard their names mentioned by the president in the Rose Garden today?
They said they were touched and humbled by President Obama's observation that if he had a son, the boy would look like Trayvon. But one of the points the parents made to me today, Scott, was that any parent, regardless of color, can relate to their grief.
Mark, thanks very much. Zimmerman was not arrested because of Florida's so-called stand your ground law that allows people to use deadly force in self-defense. Jeb Bush signed the law when he was governor. Keeping in mind that we don't have all of the facts in the case yet, Bush said today that he believes the law does not apply. As he put it, quote, "Stand your ground means stand your ground. It doesn't mean chase after somebody who's turned their back."